Welcome to View Plus Web Clinic number 4 about how to create tactile patterns for color representation on tactile graphics using Tiger Designer, part of the View Plus Tiger software suite. This is a View Plus print file opened in Tiger Designer. It was created out of MS Office Excel. VP Web Clinic number 3 explains how to create print files with extension PRN using View Plus embossers. This file shows a bar chart containing 3 data series over a course of 5 data points. The view is rotated because the document was printed in landscape mode on letter size paper, but Tiger Designer will always display documents in portrait mode. This document contains print data prepared for the VP mprint spot dot, containing the color print view as well as the view of embossed output. For better tactile differentiation between the data series, bars have been partly filled with patterns rather than solid color out of Excel. Solid colors will convert to a solid fill with 1 out of 7 different dot heights. To get a grasp of how the conversion happens, imagine switching image properties to monochrome coloring with only 7 shades. The chance is pretty high that 2 colors from the original image, which might look quite different visually, convert to the same monochrome color shade, and on tactile output, to the same dot height. Therefore, using patterns rather than solid fills on the embossed output will expand the possibilities to represent different colors for tactile readers. Unfortunately, the fill patterns out of MS Office Excel do not comply with the low resolution of embosser output, and so it is necessary to enhance those for tactile representation. Tiger Designer provides its own tool to create patterns that represent well on embosser output. Under Menu Tool, you find submenu Pattern. The first item, Pattern Fill, is to select the drawing tool, but this can also be called by selecting the command icon for Pattern Fill from the command bar here. After selecting the Pattern Fill tool, click within a certain area to have it filled with a pattern within its boundaries. Let me click this center bar to be filled. The pattern that is currently being used for filling is also defined within the Pattern submenu under Menu Tool. The center section of the submenu here lists all available patterns by name. The pattern showing the dot to the left is the currently selected fill pattern, so the one that was just used to fill that bar is Pattern 1, with the dot marked to the left. You can switch the pattern currently in use by selecting a different pattern name with this list here. For example, the last one here, dotted. And now with the Pattern Fill tool still selected, when I click into an area, it will be filled with that pattern, dotted. By the way, Tiger Designer also provides an undo command like other mainstream programs. Go to Edit menu and click Undo to revert last steps, or press Ctrl-Z on your keyboard. Back to patterns. The last item from submenu Pattern under Menu Tool, the Pattern Editor, will open a dialog window that allows to create additional patterns or delete patterns from the current list. Within the new dialog window, start typing a name for your new pattern within the blank field under Pattern Name. I am going to create a new pattern with name Test. To the right of the pattern name, you can choose a certain dot-by-dot size for the base pattern, which will be repeated next to itself when using the tool to fill a certain area. I will choose 5 by 5 for this example. Next step is to click Add, which will add the new pattern name to the list field below, and will show an empty drawing canvas with a grid of the specified dot-by-dot size. Above the drawing canvas, you have a row of squares showing different shades of gray from white to black. From this row, select a drawing color and then draw via mouse clicks within the grid of the drawing canvas. I am going to draw a vertical line from bottom left to top right corner within the 5 by 5 grid, using one of the darker gray shades. Or let me color every second dot with a lighter gray to show a better effect. Click Save to save the current drawing as base pattern to the currently selected pattern name. The dialog will close, and when you want to draw with this new pattern now, you have to go back to the Pattern menu and select it as the fill pattern to be currently in use. Now I can demonstrate the new pattern test to a fill shape. Pattern Fill Drawing Tool is still selected, and if I click this rectangle area between the chart bars here, now you see the fill for the whole shape is created using the 5x5 base pattern that was just defined in Pattern Editor. Let me zoom the view out to get a closer view of this filled area. When clicking another area next to this just filled area, you see how the pattern fill is actually continued to create a uniform fill on the now extended area. Another modification that you can do with filled areas is to make a selection using Select Rectangle tool and zoom the selection in and out by grabbing the corner of the red outline with the mouse, and the pattern fill will expand and collapse with the size of the zoomed area, but leaving the pattern design and dimension to its initial definition. Okay, so this was just for demonstration purposes, but does not make sense in the contents of the bar chart. I'm going to revert these steps using the undo command with keyboard shortcut Ctrl-Z. Back to the goal of enhancing this bar chart with tactile fill patterns. Pattern Test that I just used previously would be a good pattern on Data Series 1, which shows diagonal lines of the same direction on color representation. I have to select the Pattern Fill tool again, and then a click within the first bar here should fill the whole rectangle shape of the data bar. But it does not, and this is because it is not seen as one enclosed area due to conversion to different dot heights from the color pattern out of Office Excel. To overcome this difficulty, I can use a filled rectangle drawing tool and cover the data bar with a uniform dot height color before applying the pattern fill again. You might realize now that the use of fill patterns out of MS Office Excel do not ease the process of creating good tactile graphics output. What I would prefer actually is to use the fill colors in Excel, which make a good representation on color printing, and change solid fills to pattern fills on the embosser output only in Tiger Designer. I have created this PRN file accordingly. The colors on Data Series 1, 2, and 3 are blue, red, and green, but you see on the embosser output that the blue and red both converted to dot height 4. No differentiation between those two. Color green converted to dot height 3, which is not much different either. But on this version of the print file, the bars can easily be filled with tactile patterns, without the extra step of drawing filled rectangles over the bars first. The pattern test is still selected here. Select the Pattern Fill tool, and then click within the first bars of all 5 data points. What I would maybe do though is to add an extra outline to each bar using a lighter dot height and the Draw Rectangle tool, but this is personal preference. The center bars for each data point I'm going to leave in solid fill, and the bars of the third data series I'm going to fill with vertical lines, which will be horizontal for the reader of the paper later, since it prints in landscape mode. I am going to Pattern menu again, selecting Pattern Vert, which was defined earlier, and then selecting Pattern Fill Drawing Tool again, and filling all bars of the third data series. Let me show the base pattern of Vert to you in Pattern Editor. It's just a 3x3 sized base with one column colored, resulting in vertical lines with 2 dot spacings in between. For completion of the tactile graphics of this bar chart, I would also bring a sample of tactile representation of each data series to the legend of the chart. Here is what the completed print file would look like. Color representation, embosser output representation with samples of tactile fills in chart legend, and the combined view showing both as it would be printed combined on one sheet of paper. To repeat the steps when working with tactile patterns in Tiger Designer, let me switch to another print file, showing a few rectangle outlines. To flood fill with a tactile pattern rather than uniform dots of certain height, use this Pattern Fill Drawing tool. Click within the area that you would like to fill, and it will fill with whatever pattern is selected to be currently in use. You find specifications of the pattern being applied under Menu, Tool, and Submenu Pattern. The name of the pattern currently in use will be showing with a dot to the left of the pattern name in the list here. Pattern 1 was selected here and was just applied when clicking within the first rectangle shape to be filled. When I now select Pattern 2, for example, and click another rectangle outline, that one is filled with Pattern 2. I can also click within an area that was previously filled with another pattern, and the whole area will be redrawn with the new selected pattern. To manage the list of available patterns and define the appearance of patterns, select the last item from the Pattern menu, Pattern Editor. It will open a dialog. Click on Existing Pattern Names on the list in the lower left section and see a preview of its base pattern on the drawing canvas to the right. This is what the base pattern of pattern number 2, that was just used to fill the rectangles, looks like. Pattern 0 through 3 are factory default patterns, by the way, that you will find in Tiger Designer from the start. Others have been added by custom demand. To add a new pattern, start by typing a name in the field here. Then, select a size for the base pattern and click Add. Now draw within the blank drawing canvas, picking a gray color representing a certain dot height and clicking on the canvas to fill the squares. Once you select Save, the list of patterns showing within this editor will be carried over to the list of available patterns within the Pattern submenu. Here you find Just Created Pattern, Hello. Let me demonstrate this new pattern filling the last of the 3 rectangles. Going back to the Pattern Editor, you can delete this pattern again, selecting the name down here, hitting the Delete key up there, but also it can be modified going back to the drawing canvas. For example, adding 2 darker dots in a diagonal line here. Click Save, and the pattern where it's applied within the print file will automatically update to the new definition. And with this, I would like to conclude View Plus Web Clinic number 4. This concludes Web Clinic number 4. Thank you for your attention. Please refer to the View Plus website for more information.